they're in the same kind of thing. It's like look back and say, "Come on, new guy, get up here, keep up," and it's pretty neat.
You had been in the unit at this point when Somalia went down for about a year, year and a half.
Yep.
You correct me if I'm wrong. You were not on Sea Squadron. You weren't in Somalia.
Nope.
But do you remember, like, did word start coming back to Fort Bragg that something had happened? When did other
Oh,
unit members realize that something really, really bad is unfolding in Mogadishu?
yeah. Well, probably almost immediately. Um, so that started in 92, the prep for that. And I was on the initial, I think we were the first ones they actually had, we were in a mission cycle. So in our mission cycle, I think we were on mission cycle when that first came down. We did our rehearsals and stuff like that, ended up rotating out of those cycles. And we were, I think in support, we were supported in our support cycle when that goes down. And so I was in West Virginia. The squadron I was in West Virginia running selection. And yeah, they called us in to the team meeting room and said, "This is what happened." I think USA Today had something out in the news already. Um, so they went downtown, got a newspaper, and told us what was happening, gave us the updates. We're like, "What the hell's going on?" So they were going to replace us. So we flew back to Bragg. Another squadron went over there immediately, and we're going back to Bragg because we're in a support cycle. We're not ready, bags and stuff like that. We're not ready to deploy immediately. So we're going to go assume what's called like an alert squadron status and for anything else that pops up. And that's what we did. But I was talking to, now I was a team breacher at the time. So the breacher that was over there with Sea Squadron, I was talking to him all the time. And then through, official channels and all that stuff. And so what we were doing back at Bragg was, hey, we had this target, this particular whatever, this breach. We had a different breach point. We put this charge together. It didn't quite work so well. Figure out back there what'll work better for us, right? So I was doing that with all the other breachers back at Bragg when they were over there. But other than that, yeah, it was almost immediately we were told what was going on. And the other squadron took off. They were at Bragg. They took off at some point during that night.
Did you know any of the unit operators? Because I know that it's obviously a very small knit community. There's not too many guys. Did you personally know any of the Delta guys who were KIA'd in Mogadishu?
Um, Not real well. I was a new guy, so I still wasn't allowed to talk to a lot of folks. But some of their new guys, I only met um no, Randy Shughart and Gary Gordon. I met those guys. Now, to me though, they were like some of the cool guys when I got there because I was a new guy, right? I only met them in passing in the hallway because I was with the guys I was with, my team sergeants and all that stuff, heading to the defect. That's the only time I met those guys. So I didn't know them. I met them. Um, a lot of the guys that were there were in my OTC class. They were injured, but not KIA. Oh, what's the other book? They just wrote a good book, I think, not too long ago. And it's more of a unit guy perspective on the whole thing, which is a little bit better of a read. Um, uh, oh man, I can't think of the name of the book. No. Yeah, I'll have to send you that information. It's a pretty good read. And it's a totally different perspective on things that were going on. Because the fact that this happened, um, and it was a bad day, right? But from a unit guy's perspective, it was like, okay, that was a bad day. Let's get back in it, right? We're still here, kind of thing. So from a combat readiness perspective, C Squadron that was there was, not in a good way. So, but the other squadron that was going over there, that's like, let's continue operations. And that's why they went. But then everything got shut down, and that kind of was not a good feeling to have to be, not because it was vengeful or we wanted revenge and all that stuff, but it's one of those things where the National Command Authority at the time uh, really didn't know how to, in my opinion only, my perspective, didn't know how to work with special operations, especially us at the time, like a unit like us, and so it was a successful mission, but guys were lost and injured. So combat effectiveness of C Squadron was kind of not where it needed to be, but the other squadron, it went perfectly fine, perfectly capable to continue ops, and then it got shut down. That kind of pissed everybody off for a little bit. Um, but that was sign of the times.
Is the thinking, did it upset people because the logic is, and I'm an outsider, but this is what I would guess when I'm looking at it was, hey, we just lost 19 guys. This mission was important enough for 19 guys to sacrifice their lives. Why is it not important enough to finish? Was that the thinking, or was there a different reason guys were upset?
Yeah, that's it. So that mission that night was a success, right? But the overall mission, it's still ongoing. We don't have a deed yet, kind of thing, right? So let's go get the guy. Let's keep going. Just not the way it worked out.
Yeah, no, definitely not. Great movie, by the way. You'll have to send me the name of the book. I'll definitely be interested in checking it out from a unit operator's perspective. I
Yeah.
do want to ask you, in the 90s, again, people my age, when we think of the unit, special operations, we think of the war on terror, Afghanistan, hunting Al Qaeda, Iraq, all that stuff. But in the 90s, a little bit of a different situation, right? I mean, what are the big things? You've got the drug cartel situation, you've got the Balkans. Like, was that kind of what you guys at that time period were focused on?
Oh man, yes. So many things going on then. Oh, Day of the Rangers.
Day of the Rangers. Okay, I'll look it up for sure.
Yeah. So so that so 1991, and I show up in 91. So we're on the heels of the Gulf War, right? And so for the rest of the 90s, there's still the no fly zone that the us and the coalition forces are enforcing in Iraq. So there's that. There's the search for weapons of mass destruction that's going on in Iraq. Um, yeah, the Pablo Escobar deal down in Colombia is still going on. And so these are all the things that are going on that globally that we're paying attention to. Um, in the early 90s, all that stuff was going on. The Oklahoma City bombing also in the States. So that's a nexus to Al Qaeda training as well.